Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this late afternoon for the next album review, and I hope you guys will enjoy this review for Lorde's new release, Virgin, the album that I got a chance to listen to for myself to see what I was going to think of the follow up to Solar Power. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the 11 songs on this almost 35-minute album overall, and let you know my thoughts on the 11 tracks on this record. So let's dive into this album review for the new Lorde album. So basically, it starts with Hammer, and it's a good song for how it sounds. I mean, it's not one of my particular favorites, but it is a highlight on the record. And I think it was the last single before this record came out for this week. So I was a little impressed with it but it's alright for her singing for the most part. For Lorde's singing. So I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 for this track. It's not bad. What Was That was another one of the singles. It was the first single for this record. I mean, it's a good song too for how it sounds structure wise and how the melody sounds. Very melodic stuff and pop infused kind of stuff, but it works to make it an interesting listen for sure. So 4.5 out of 5 for What Was That. Shapeshifter is does have some weird lyrics on here that I don't know if I can stand behind on this track, but I think Lorde singing sounds pretty solid to keep entertaining the listener for the most part, like myself and many others that are going to listen to this tonight. But I've already heard the whole record, so now I'm breaking down what I listened to. But overall, I think 4.5 out of 5 is due for Shapeshifter. It's a good track. Did pretty good in its own way. Man of the Year, I thought I was really going to like this track, but there were some moments in the verses that felt a little slow, but it does progress as you get through the rest of the track, and it makes it an interesting listen. I think Lorde's singing is pretty solid, and just the chorus is pretty memorable too, so I can get on board with this song. 4.5 out of 5. Favorite Daughter is another good track for how it sounds. Didn't necessarily hate this song, but it's another solid track to keep the album flowing pretty much in a good way. So, Lorde's singing is pretty solid, and overall, it's a 4.5 out of 5. Current Affairs is another good track in its own way. I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 5. It's kind of going to get the same rating as most of the other tracks do, but they're good tracks for how they sound. So, yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Clear Blue was a minute and 57 seconds of a track, of an interlude song. So it wasn't much of a track, but you get into the next track after that, which is another good track. But overall, I think the Lorde singing from time to time in this interlude track was pretty good for the most part, and it flowed very well. Nice melody, too, as well. 4.5 out of 5. Grown Woman is how you pronounce it, GRWM. Grown Woman. Good song. It's definitely, she's opening up a little more about her sexuality in this track, and that's fine and all. But it's just, there are times where the execution lands, and sometimes it kind of squanders at times. But it's not terrible of a song. I think this track actually did pretty well for the most part. So, 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Broken Glass was kind of cringy. It was above decent, but it's not anything I'm really amazed with. But I think it's alright for the overall structure and the production and mixing on this song. But Lorde's singing kind of has its moments where it's hit or miss. So 4.25 out of 5 for this track. I was on the fence with this one. Maybe it'll grow on me, but for now it's going to get an above decent rating of a 4.25 out of 5. If She Could See Me Now, well, yeah, If She Could See Me Now is what I meant to say. I kind of slurred with what I said. I think it's a good track. Um, I think Lorde's singing did pretty well for the most part, and just the execution of this track flowed very well. Um, I think basically her vocal moments in this track did have their hits and misses. Well, I had my hits and misses with the vocal performance, but overall it performed alright for the melody and the production and mixing. So 4.5 out of 5. It seems like it sounds like a copy of the What Was That song, but it's overall not so bad. David is the closing track on the record, and there's some EDM stuff close to the end of the song that kind of irritates me a little. But I think most of the track's pretty nice. There are some moments towards the end of the song that do pretty well with the production, but it's just the EDM moments in the track kind of squander a little and make it sound a little on the nose, meaning cringy at times. So it's still going to get a 4.5 out of 5. It's still a good closing track for the most part. So overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I think Lorde's new record, Virgin, was probably the best release this Friday for June 27th releases. I wouldn't say it's the best album, but I would say it's a good record. It's a safe record for sure. It played it safe. There's some tracks I can come back to, quite a bit of them, and maybe this record will grow on me. It's only like almost 35 minutes of a record, but it's overall good in how it sounds in the execution and just melody structure wise. This record pulled it off for what she was going for this record. So if I were to give Lorde's new record Virgin a score, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. It's a good listen. It's probably better than the Hot Milk album. And that's sad because I really was hoping Hot Milk would have pulled off a great record this time around for their second studio album, which was Corporation Pop, which, as you see, I already uploaded the video a few hours ago. Um, but overall, I just was very let down by that record with the last few remaining songs on the record. But this was a better release. I was more impressed with this than the last record I just reviewed. But overall, yeah, 8 out of 10 for Lorde Virgin. I think she did a good job on this release, and for the most part, I'm definitely intrigued to see how her music career is going to go from here to now. Well, from now to in a few years from now. But for the most part, her fourth studio album is an interesting listen and something I'd recommend you guys check out. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this Lorde Virgin album review. It's an 8 out of 10 for me, and thanks for watching.